So what I was busy doing is I was explaining why this 20-day live challenge exists in the first place. And now that I've done it once, I can almost do it from a rehearsed point of view. Is that so? The premise of the 20-day challenge is you go onto Instagram, or I'm choosing Substack or Facebook. It doesn't really matter because it's not really for an audience. It's really for you. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to go on and put yourself in a position where you're unrehearsed, unscripted, unfiltered, where things are deeply imperfect and raw and real. Because that is the heart of what it means to be a human. Why does this matter? And why 20 days? Because 20 days is how long it takes human beings to disintegrate or integrate a new habit or disintegrate an old one. Disintegrate, in other words, don't make it evaporate like a cloud, but disintegrate it from inside of ourselves, because we've got these habits and these persona, these ways of showing up in the world that we've got integrated that are not authentic, and then they're not real, they're learned. And it's not as if we're being disingenuous. Just remember when you went for a job interview, or when you meet new friends at a party in a social setting, there's this tightness that happens in you, and you start trying to read the cues, and you start trying to behave and speak and respond in a certain way that you believe will be appreciated or liked. And again, this isn't disingenuous. This doesn't mean that we're fake, but we get rewarded for not being ourselves. We get rewarded for behaving in a certain social contract or a certain social way. Now, I know in my heart that the human beings can't operate if there isn't some degree of social coherence, if there isn't some level of social contract that we are buying into. But it doesn't make for very rich life, and it doesn't make for a very authentic life. Because if you think about what's wrong in corporate, I always say that soul is what is missing when life feels wrong. And I don't get a single person whose sincerity and authenticity I can actually respect and appreciate. And I've spoken to, man, dozens of people just in the last couple of weeks. And not one single person has anything positive to say about the corporate culture and the corporate experience at the moment. I don't think it's gotten worse. I think we're in some sort of age of apocalypse. And what does apocalypse mean? Yeah, it means the veil coming down. It means now we can suddenly, the masks coming off, the facades are slipping. America's always been this crazy. It's just an acceleration with the mask off. Yeah. Politics has always been this dirty and this propagandistic and this manipulative. Now the masks are just off, the glove is off, the veil has slipped down. So, how do real people respond to such pressure to be fake and to be unreal when we know it's kind of killing us inside? Because if I say soul is what is missing when life feels wrong, it means that's the part that's missing in us also when life feels wrong, when life feels wrong for us. And I've got this wonderful distillation of what it means, what soul means. Soul is nothing more, or need mean nothing more than the human thirst and capacity. Soul need mean nothing more than the human thirst and capacity that we have for connection, belonging, imagination, creativity, vitality, purpose. And that's how we derive all of our meaning. And we're not living lives um, designed to reward, foster, nourish, deepen, and expand that. In fact, we're living the opposite. All of our systems, all of our interfaces, all of our systems of control and influence and exchange are all these cold, clinical, transactional, more, where quality is much less important than quantity, where connection is not really important. And how do we fix that in ourselves? We have to sort of rebel, like a sacred rebellion, not a rebellion of anger or of violence or of contrarianism, but something where we take back what's truly ours and take back what matters to us. and fight against or stand against these systems of influence and control that shape us in ways that are actually not ever going to lead to a sense of fulfillment and meaning in our lives. I mean, that's really what this 20-day challenge is all about. So if you're watching this or if you watch this later, consider starting this challenge. There's an exercise that I'll put here on Substack, and it's just a primer. It will tell you how to start a conversation with yourself. And it won't provide you the whole of the question and it won't provide you the whole of the answer, but it's just a different way to look at the different aspects of a conscious experience, an embodied conscious experience that a human being has, and ask these questions from slightly different layers to sit and reveal what is true or what is meaningful or what is troubling actually about yourself and about you, because you'll notice that the parts that are troubling, that's the real you clawing to get out. Yeah. So if you're watching this or if you watch this later, I'm challenging you. I'm encouraging you to participate in such a 20-day challenge. Now, for me, I'm all eloquent and I'm speaking fluidly about a coherent thought stream. I promise you it wasn't like this when I began. This is my second time around, and with a long, long time of philosophizing and teaching and consulting in between. But the first time I got on, I was exactly as you would expect, exactly as you should expect of yourself. It's not an exercise in eloquence. It's not an exercise in learning how to speak better, how to speak perfectly. It's learning how to be comfortable speaking imperfectly in your own voice, saying the wrong thing the wrong way, and giving yourself the chance to go, oh, I didn't actually mean that. What I actually meant to say was this, because that is human. That is human. That is how humans engage and talk to each other. We don't, it's not like a sitcom where every one liner is a tidum and it all just lands perfectly, or radio shows or podcast hosts that have, that's their day job, man. That's their day job. And they've spent years getting the production perfect, their microphones perfect, their camera angles perfect, the production team perfect. That's not how human beings engage. There's something deeply cynical and um, soulless about all of that. And the problem is we've normalized it. So we need to de-normalize that. Yeah. So really, this is what this challenge is about for me. Today's a Monday. So what happens for me is I've got our daughter Maya. My wife's, we both work from home, and Maya goes to school and daycare on some of the days, but on Mondays I've got her. So the chaos is about to begin. She might even come ripping out here in a minute with her mop of blonde hair, drawing me into something about her dress ups or the beads that she's playing with or something. So that's going to happen in these 20-day lives. I'm just hoping that for me, these conversations are nourishing and expansive, and they wake something up in you and remind you of something that's worth holding space for and letting claw its way back out into the light, and breaking the bars of these cages that we've become trapped in about how we ought to behave, how we ought to show up, how we ought to speak. It doesn't mean we get to throw all that caution and um, courtesy to the wind, but somewhere in there, there's a different balance we can find between realness and rawness. And that's either going to come out through catharsis or anger or vitriol or purging, the way it is coming out on social media between people at the moment, or it's going to come out in this beautiful, imperfect alchemy. One of those processes makes you less you and takes something away from you. And one of those processes holds you and builds you up. So I'm recommending this one. Yeah. Now, if this kind of talk and this kind of insight resonates with you, I'm running a project of which this is experiment number one, called Finding Voice, the 20-day live challenge. But the wider project that that experiment belongs to is called A Better Way. The premise of A Better Way is that there's no right or only ways to do anything in this world. There's no right or only thing we should all be believing, we should all be doing, we should all be practicing. But that doesn't mean there's not better and worse ways. And we need, if we are ever going to turn the ship on the water, it's going to come on the back of a belief that there are better ways. And we need to become courageous and curious to start exploring and implementing those better ways in our lives. I hear so much argument about how idealistic that is and how you can't boil the ocean and you can't change the world. Well, sure, but not with that attitude, right? And I believe that something is possible. And I also believe that in the dark, long night, the desperate night of a Kali Yuga, something has to burn brightly, something has to burn fiercely. And why not let that be me? Why not let that be you? We don't have to be superhuman. We just have to be human. We don't have to fill all the holes in the whole world. We just have to start tending to the ones that we encounter on our journeys on the road as we walk it. If everyone started behaving like that, what would still be what would still be possible, right? And that's the premise here. Is we are so incredibly empowered as a species right now. We are so incredibly empowered in terms of what we're able to do, in terms of our capability. But what we have self-belief in and what we have self-permission in is completely denigrated. And that's the part that we need to restore. And I just want to come and not preach doom to people to say how dark and hopeless the world is. Somewhere deep inside, part of your brain and your soul is already waking up to the dark desperation that's rising in the world. And I'm trying to wake you up to that voice, perhaps, that you're not giving the proper airtime, not so that we can become darker and more desperate, but so that the leader, the human, the one that cares about the future and our legacy and who we can yet become, becomes awake again and asks themselves, what does love look like right now? What can I do? What can I do? And if that becomes an overwhelming question for you, good. It's a lot better being overwhelmed by that question than by being overwhelmed by the deluge of um, chaos and unkindness and dystopian dysfunction and cynicism that is growing so badly in the world. And you don't have to be overwhelmed in that first question together, that what can I do? How can I help? How can I change this? By simply asking, how can I help? You're asking the right question. And a better way, the project that I'm launching with Chetan here and on YouTube, it's going to have its own Substack and it's going to have its own community. It's a project that we're putting together so that you don't have to walk that road alone, so that like-minded souls and people are coming together with the best information that we can distill from all the wisdom systems in the world. No holy cows. We're not telling anybody what to do or how to do it or what to think. We're helping you answer those questions that are already coming up inside yourselves. How do I live a better life? How do I care for my children in this shocking moment that's unfolding? How do I show up online better in a way that starts to change the temperature? What tools can I apply to safeguard my own sovereignty so that it's not systems of influence and control that are telling me what to think and what I should and shouldn't be worried about from one minute to the next? How can I actually show up for myself and lead myself through this moment to a better place? It's not all of the answers. It's helping you also sit with better questions and realizing that there is no final answer. There's no only answer. There are always going to be better and worse ways, and we are open to exploring and practicing and sharing better way in the context of a community. So if that aligns with you, please engage, please like this video, please comment something below here. It teaches the infernal machine that this is worth sharing with human beings, and you can help by doing that. So, Michelle, if that's how I'm saying it correctly, thank you for joining and for watching. I'm going to sign off now. I do encourage you to keep watching, because somewhere along this 20-day arc, I'm hoping to convince people like you to do this 20-day challenge and to become part of the A Better Way community. So I think it's getting a bit noisy here. I hope that worked. I'm not to know until I watch this video later, but failing that, have a beautiful day and stop doom scrolling. Stop doom scrolling, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Take care.